firefighters. This one's for the firefighters. This one's for the firefighters. Firefighters. Fire.
Red Light Gamer here, and today I want to share with you my take on the Dragonnight tanking build. This is a very low damage output, but you can take a lot of damage in group settings and trials and things like that. First thing we'll go over is our attributes. Now, I like to throw 10 in Magicka right away. This is going to help us with a little more refresh and a little more magic pool when we're casting our abilities. We will have quite a few Magicka abilities and some stamina abilities as well. All the rest I'm going to throw into health. Now the health is going to help you so you can take more damage. It helps your health pool and things like that. I'll have 54 points into the health. Now for stamina, we're not going to have any points in that. We don't use a lot of stamina abilities, so it's not necessary for this build. Next will be our abilities. Your first skill line is the Argent Flame. Now this is your bread and butter for a DPS of Dragonknight. This is some tanking things on here I do use, but not a lot of them. I will use a Unyielding Grip morph for this. What I use this for is if there's enemies that are a little further away from me, I can throw this at them and pull them right back at me so they can stay in the group. Next, we're going to have all of our passive abilities. I will take Combustion, I will take Warmth, Searing Heat, and World and Ruin. I will take all of these. You don't necessarily need them all, but we will take them. So next set of skills will be the Dragonic Power. Now the Dragonic Power is what makes you the Dragonknight. This is your damage reduction heals, a little bit of crowd control, everything you need to help you. Now I'll be taking the Green Dragon Blood morph. Now this is our self-heal when the healer's behind doing other things, or we need a sudden buff, healer's dead, we need to prolong the fight, and this is our solo heal as well. This is a Magicka ability, hence is why we have 10 attributes into Magicka. Now for the passive, we will be taking all the passive. We have Iron Skin, Burning Heat, Elder Dragon. Next we have Scaled Armor. Now our next skill tree will be the Earthen Heart. Now this is what is going to help us with more of our self-protection and shield and things like that. Very first thing we will be doing is the Magma Shell. This is our oh crap ability that we will be using as ultimate. When we're almost dead, we pop this off. It's going to give us a huge buff, and it's going to heal us as well. For our next ability, will be Igneous Shield. Now this is our shield that we'll be using at all times. Every pole I use this on, this is up at all times. You have to have this up, especially for the boss fights. Any veteran content you do, you need this up. Now next will be the passives. We will be taking every one of the passives. We have Eternal Mountain, Battle Roar. This is whenever we use our ultimate, we gain health, magic, and stamina back for every point that it costs. And if you see here, it costs 200 ultimate to cast this one. So you times that by 50. That's a lot of health, a lot of magicka and stamina back. Now with the Mountain's Blessing passive, this is why we have to have the Igneous Shield up at all times. So whenever we cast it, our teammates will get Major Brutality for 20 seconds, increasing their damage by 10%. That's huge, especially when we're fighting a boss. Then we take the Helping Hands. So whenever we cast a non-stamina Earthen Heart ability, we gain stamina back. And if you see here, Igneous Shield is a magic ability. So this is how you can see why we're using a lot more magic than stamina on this build. Next will be our weapon tree. Very first thing we will be going over will be the Sword and Board or One-Handed Shield. We don't need anything but the Piercing Armor. This is our taunt, our provoke, some people call it as well. We use this ability when we want the boss or enemies to fight us and only us. But be careful you don't over taunt. If you over taunt, you will lose threat. Now when we use this ability, we thrust our weapon into the enemy, dealing 2,655 physical damage and taunting them to attack you for 15 seconds. Also affects major and minor breach on the enemy, reducing their physical resistance and spell resistance. Huge to debuff these guys. Next is our slash. Now we use this because we get minor heroism. Grant us one ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 12 seconds. So we'll use this ability every 12 seconds and keep on building them ultimate. Next is the Absorb Missile. Now this gives you defense, gaining a shield that absorbs up to 15,248 damage for 6 seconds. Now we will be using this ability every 6 seconds. Just keep up with it and you'll be fine. Oh, next will be our passives. So for Fortress, it reduces the stamina cost of your one hand and shield abilities by 15%. It reduces the cost of blocking by 36%. For Sword and Board, increase your weapon and spell damage by 5% and the amount of damage you can block by 20%. We use Deadly Bash, that way our bash costs less stamina. Deflect bolts also take less damage from range attacks. And Battlefield Mobility helps get rid of the penalty for bracing. For our next skill tree is actually Destruction Staff. Now, we're going to use Elemental Blockade. Now for Elemental Blockade, we slam our staff down to create an elemental barrier in front of you, dealing 701 magic damage to enemies in the target area for every 1 second. That lasts 14 seconds, that's quite a bit of damage. Blockade of Storms sets concussed enemies off balance, so we will be using this to create off balance on our enemies. Now once again, we'll be taking all of the passives here. First one is Trifocus. Lightning Staff, heavy attacks, damage nearby enemies for 100% of the damage done. That's going to help us out. We can range pull with this as well to get enemies at us first. Penetrating Magic. Elemental Force. Now, Ancient Knowledge. Equipping a lightning staff increases your damage done with area of effect abilities by 10%. The only ability we'll be using with lightning staff is the area of effect. Now, Destruction Expert. When you kill an enemy with a Destruction Staff ability, you restore 3,600 magicka. This will help us with our magical pool if our enemies are dying with our Elemental Blockade. For our next skill line will be Heavy Armor. Now, we will be 100% Heavy Armor. Now for our bonuses, each piece of heavy armor does the following. Reduces damage taken from martial arts attacks by 1%. Increase the amount of damage blocked by 1%. Increase damage done with bashing by 3%. Reduces your damage taken while immune to crowd control by 1%. But we get some penalties as well. We take more magical damage, can't sprint as much, can't roll dodge as much, and increase the size of detection while sneaking. But we don't really need to sneak while we're doing this. Now for Resolve, we increase our physical and spell resistance by 343 for each piece. Constitution helps our health recovery by 4% for each piece. We also restore 108 magicka and stamina. We take damage for each piece you're wearing. That's big. Judgment will help our max health. Now for Revitalize, it increases the magicka or stamina your heavy attacks restore by 4% for each piece you wore. That's going to be huge. Now Rapid Mending will help your healing received for each piece. Now our next ability is actually Balance in the Mage's Tree. What you do is you barter with Oblivion to trade Vitality for Power, sacrificing health in exchange for magicka. Oh yeah, don't care about that as much, but after the exchange is complete, you gain Major Resolve for 30 seconds, increase your physical and spell resistance for 5,948. That's why you need this as an all crap moment if you need a shield. Now the downfall for this is your exchange reduces your healing done and damage shield strength by 50% for 4 seconds. It's one of these all crap things if you have to use it. For the Undaunted Tree, we'll use Sanjian Altar. Sacrifice your life essence to conjure a fountain of blood to apply major lifesteal to enemies in the area, healing you and your allies for 612 health for every 1 second. I use this every time I pull up to a fight. I throw this down right away and I try to fight in this area of effect. Now Inner Rage will be our long range taunt. The biggest thing is, after ranged ally targeting the taunted enemy, can activate a radiant synergy, dealing 4,974 magic damage to them for every 3 seconds. Next, we'll go to the passives with Aldonta Command. Activating a synergy restores 4% of your max stamina, health, and magicka. And then Aldonta Metal. Increase your max health, stamina, and magicka by 2% per type of armor you're wearing. After that, we're going to go to the Alliance War. We're going to go to Assault Tree, and we're going to be using Aggressive Warhorn. Now for this, you sound a Warhorn to rally your forces, increases you and your group's max magicka and stamina by 10% for 30 seconds. You and your allies gain major force, increasing your critical damage by 20% for 10 seconds. After that, make sure you get all your racial passives that you can. That is it for your skills. Next is our armor. Up first, we have monster set. This is a Lore Warden. This drops in Imperial City prisons. For my shoulders, I use the Sturdy trait with the max health enchantment. And for my head, I use Tristat with the trait of Infused. I'm using a light armor head and a medium armor shoulders. Every rest of my armor will actually be heavy. Now this is really nice because when you have two pieces, anytime you take damage, you have a 50% chance to summon a Shadow Orb for 10 seconds that increases your physical resistance and spell resistance of you and your group members within 8 meters by 3,180. This effect occurs once every 10 seconds. Amazing to have this. For my next set is the Ebon Armor set. This drops in the Crypt of Hearts 1 and 2. Now for this one, I like this because if you have 5 pieces, it increases your max health by 1,000 for you and up to 11 other group members within 28 meters of you. If you can see, I have the 3 balls around me. That's showing that I have all the pieces I need. Now for my body, I use Reinforced with the Tristat enchantment. For my belt, it's going to be Sturdy with max health. For my feet, it'll be Sturdy trait with max health enchant as well. My legs will be the Tristat enchant with Infused. My hands is Sturdy trait with max health. Now up next will be for my jewelry and weapons. I like to use Perfected Claw. This one drops in the Vet Sunspire trial. For my necklace, I like the Healthy enchant with the reduced prismatic cost for enchantment. Now I love this set for tanking, because when you taunt an enemy, you give yourself and 11 group members Minor Courage for 15 seconds, increasing your weapon damage and spell damage by 215. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. Now both my rings will be the same. I'm going to have the Healthy trait with the Bracing enchantment on that. The Bracing enchant reduces the cost of your block by 200 per ring that I have. For my front bars, it's going to be Sword and Shield. For my shield, I'm going to use the Sturdy trait, and then I'm going to use the Try enchantment. For the sword, I'm going to use Decisive trait with the Weakening enchantment on that. And that's going to be nice because it weakens the target's weapon and spell damage. Now for my back bar, I use a Lightning Staff with Infused trait in the Crusher enchantment. Next, we're going to start our champion points. We'll start with the Warfare tree. Now this build is based on 1,560 champion points, not the max. It's a lot easier to obtain. Now in no specific order, we're going to go over to the first part and go to Piercing. We'll put 20 points into Piercing, 40 points into Flawless Ritual, 30 points into War Mage, 40 points over to Battle Mastery, 30 points into Mighty, 20 points into Precision, 20 points into Blessed, 20 points into Eldritch Insight, 20 in quick recovery. $20 points into hardy. 20 into preparation. And then 20 into elemental ages. 20 points into tireless discipline. Now after that, we're going to do our equipable. Now if you look, they're really bright, really glowing. The ones that you put any points in, you can equip those ones. What you're going to have to do is drag it to the top bar above you, or you're going to have an add-on that will automatically put them up there for you. We will put 50 points, which is the cap, into unassailable. $50 points into bulwark. $50 for enduring resolve. And then 50 to duelist rebuff. Now after that will be our fitness tree. We'll do our equipable first. It'll be 50 points into boundless vitality. 50 into fortified. And 50 into rejuvenation. $20 points into defiance. $50 points into expert evasion. $30 in tumbling. $10 points into mystic tenacity. $20 points into heroes of vigor. 30 points into piercing gaze. $50 points into tempered soul. $16 points into hasty. 20 points into sprinter. 20 points into tireless guardian. 30 points into fortification. $6 points into nimble protector. $30 points into salvage defense. And then we'll do 20 points into bastion brutality. Now we go over to the craft tree. The biggest thing of the craft tree is a lot of this is just quality of life things. Nothing you absolutely need. It's going to get you more gold, you know, treasure hunter, crafting, stuff like that. What I like to do first is to cap out rationer. This will add 10 minutes per the duration of your food for every level, and liquid efficiency as well. Now this helps out with your poisons and your potions, so maybe you have a 10% chance of not consuming it. I like to max out Seed's Blessing as well, and that's one of your equipables, as well as those last two. You know, feel free to put your craft tree whatever order you want, whatever way you want. Doesn't really matter for this. Now we'll go up to show you how I actually combat and how I do this. First thing I do is get on my back bar, and then I like to use a range attack sometimes to pull them to me, and then I like to open up with my elemental blockade, and then I drop my Stygian altar right away. After that, I'll use my piercing armor on everything I can to get them attacking me, and then I'll start using Heretic Slash on all the targets. That way they get a debuff. Then I start with my buffs. I'll use Igneous Shield. Then I'll jump on the Absorb Missile right away after that. Now, when my health starts to dip a little bit, I'll start using Green's Dragon's Blood. If I have any ads at all that are running away from me, going towards a healer, or going to other people that aren't fighting right next to me, I'll pull them in with Unyielding Grip, or I'll sit there and I'll use my Inner Rage to pull them. If there's a time where I start to lose a lot of health and the healer can't keep up, I'll use my Magna Shell right away. If I don't need to use that, I will start using my Aggressive Warhorn as well. I'll show you really quick what it's like to use Green's Dragon's Blood. So after I take too much damage, I'll start using my buffs again. And then I'll use Green's Dragon's Blood, and you can see how much it heals me for and how fast it actually heals me. I'm currently working on updated guides for Magic and Stamina DPS, so keep a watch out for that. I'll be also doing a deep dive of every job and class that we have in the game. Just so you know what all their abilities do, what good builds you might have for PvP and PvE and stuff like that. But if you like this kind of content and you like what I'm doing here, please like, subscribe, share it if you want. It really helps out the channel every time you leave a comment like that as well. So thank you very much. Talk to you later.
This one's for the firefighters. This one's for the firefighters. This one's for the firefighters. Firefighters. Fire.